Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to a virtual TV studio set created by CGA attendees. During the last 2 months, we had an opportunity to work on this project, and I must say we are really proud of it. We also had a chance to dive into the architecture of TV studio sets, and I really hope you like the result. What do you think about it, Dane?
Just the fact that we are standing here inside of these virtual studios is a final approval of the great job you all did. As a technical director of the CGA conference, it was a great pleasure to work with and mentor 4 groups for a couple of months. I'm really proud of being part of Disguise, a company that's among very few pioneers in the XR industry. Now my colleagues from our XR studio in London will show us some of amazing innovations in this industry.
Well, great. Let's see it. Good afternoon, London.
Thank you, Danny. And thank you, CGA, for letting us do this demo. My name is Milo. I'm a technical solution specialist here at Disguise. So what is Disguise? We are a platform that allows you to imagine, create, and deliver spectacular live experiences from virtual production to broadcast to theatre, rock and roll shows, and many, many more. Disguise has been around for 20 years delivering video to complex surfaces, and the last 4 years we have been the leaders in XR workflows. So being the market leaders in XR and VP, we have over 350 stages around the world that are powered by Disguise. And also because of this, we have offices all around the world giving us a follow the sun principle, meaning we could support you in any time zone, anywhere around the world. So, how does this all work? You can see right now I'm stood in my XR volume, so I've got an LED floor and an LED wall. But firstly, let's start with the cameras. So we have 3 cameras in the studio, which are 3 red Komodo cameras. And we actually have different tracking systems on each one. So the first one is using Stipe tracking, the second one is Robot PTZ head, and the third one is NCAM tracking. And all of these data points are sent into Disguise, where we run our calibrations that I'll talk a bit more about later. Secondly, if we're looking at our lighting rig, all the lighting in the studio is controlled by Disguise as well. And there's a few different ways you can do this. So firstly, you can manually program your lighting per scene and per cue, and send DMX values that you want wherever the time is on your timeline. Secondly, you can actually take color points from your LED wall. So let's say you had a section here and you wanted the color data from that section to go to your lights. You can do that as well. And thirdly, you can actually get color data from your 3D environments themselves as well. So if you're changing time of day or your environment's moving around, you can get this color data and feed that into Disguise and then your lighting as well. Finally, you can do a hybrid approach as well. So if you have a lighting desk, you can send cues and commands from Disguise as well to control that and then control your lights that way. So talking about the LEDs themselves, on the back wall, we're using Row Black Diamond, which has a pixel pitch of 2.8. The floor is black marble by Row as well, and this is 4.7 pixel pitch. So the floor has a lower resolution than the wall, but this is okay because we're shooting across it, so the pixel density doesn't matter as much. So let's go to a 3D environment. So in my back pocket, I actually have an iPad that I control this whole studio with, which is super powerful. So I'll cut and take us to Australia. So here you go, I'm in a 3D environment, and this environment's being run in Unreal Engine 5. You can also use Unity, you can also use Touch Designer, and you can also use something called Notch. And these all integrate seamlessly with the Disguise workflow and platform. So because it's Unreal, it's a real-time engine, we can modify the environment in real time. So I could do some fun things, like I can move this tree element in the background. And the way I'm doing this is I'm sending control signals from the iPad into Disguise, and Disguise is feeding this data over our render stream protocol. This then controls any object I want in Unreal. Now render stream, what is that? So render stream is our 2-way communications protocol for going from our VX machines, which are our video machines, which deal with all of our calibrations, all the video inputs, all the tracking. And they send uncompressed data 2-way to our render nodes, our RX machines. And our RX machines are what are rendering in real time. So with this and this super powerful tool, we have full control of our Unreal, Unity, and those other projects I mentioned, but also the elements inside it and whatever I want to control. So I could also change the color temperature of the scene. So let's say I wanted to go make it quite a cool day, or I also want to take that as far as quite a warm day. You know, maybe we're near golden hour. I can do that all the touch of the button on my iPad. So I'll give you another example of this. So I'll actually take you to our Cybertown scene. So here, you'll notice all the lighting has changed, and this is reacted to the scene in real time. And I can also control some elements in this scene as well. So I can change the height of the car. I can bring that up and down. But you might have also noticed throughout this that actually, you can see off the stage. Now, why is this? So my camera is slightly pointing off the stage, so you're seeing a gap. But for disguise, that's not actually a problem. And the reason for that is our calibration tools. And this is one of the huge benefits of disguise. Firstly, we have our delay calibration. So we put a flash on the wall. This means we can calculate the delay throughout the whole system. This can also calibrate for tracking delay as well. So if you're moving your camera, your tracking might actually be behind where your camera is in reality. So we can predict where it's going to be. Secondly is our spatial calibration. And what this is doing, what this is calibrating for, is the camera position. So we put a series of dots on the wall, and we can calculate based on what the camera sees exactly where it is in the real world. And we can calibrate with the tracking data provided to actually place it in the real world location, but in virtual world. This also calibrates for lens distortions as well. So if you're using a fisheye lens, or if you're using an anamorphic lens, or just a normal zoom or prime lens, we calibrate the distortions. And this means you get seamless scenes to set extension, but also to your AR elements. And the last calibration tool is color. So what this is doing is calibrating the differences between LED surfaces. So if you remember, I'm actually standing on an LED wall, but I also have an LED wall behind me, and these are slightly different colors in reality. But we calibrate for that change, so your camera thinks it's a seamless transition. It can't see the seams. And we do this for each camera as well. So every camera has its own set of color profiles. So what does this mean then? I can turn on set extension, and it will fill in that gap. But what this also means is you can pan your camera endlessly around the 3D world, and it's not going to affect the final output. All you're going to see is your unreal scene and where I am stood on the LED wall. So what else can we do with our calibration tools? It's elements like AR. So this pillar to my left is actually in AR, so I can walk behind that. But I can stand behind here and change my camera back to the wide, and I'm still in the right place walking around it. Now, if you are tracking your talent, you can track their position and change if this element is front plate, so AR, or back plate, which is in the background. So again, super powerful to be really creative and deliver these experiences to your audience. So I'll take us somewhere else. Maybe let's go a bit more corporate. So we'll go to our ice hockey studio. So now we're here in our ice hockey studio, and you can see how you can utilize this for your productions. So we also have tools to deliver live data to screens just like this in the virtual world. So real-time data fed into Unreal Engine. And alongside this, you can use multiple different environments and trigger 2D graphics, 3D graphics. But again, the data integration is a very powerful tool of ours. So I could also do things like go to my NFL studio. So let's jump there right now. And here in this studio, we're demonstrating the benefits of LED over green screen. So imagine you're an athlete and you've never been on TV before. You're not having to remember a location to look at. You're not having to remember details about certain objects. So if I take a step back here, you can see this is Watson. He's a quarterback. He's 28 years old. This is something you can't do in green screen. You can't read off the wall. And also, a benefit of LED is reflections. You'll notice I wear glasses. The light goes through the glass, and I'm not having to key a green screen. It reflects how it would in the real world. So again, huge benefits over green screen and traditional workflows. So let's go somewhere, again, a bit more fun. So let's go to our play world. And here in the play world, we have some fun things we can show you. So in our case, I'm going to show you a virtual camera movement. And a lot of broadcasters use this to make their smaller studios look much bigger than they actually are. So what I can do is, if I take a step back, I can actually cut to my virtual camera, and you'll see I'm in a massive space now. My LED volume isn't this big, but it looks like it is. And you can utilize this in many different fashions. So we're going to be, in this case, in a more creative world, But even if it's simple zoom out and zoom in movements to add AR elements in, or just to make your studio look bigger than it actually is. So I'll take you now to our product launch location. So here, this is an actual location where we released our new VX4 Plus system. So as you can see behind me, I can see the object I can interact with. And again, we use this in a live stream to demonstrate and show off the internals of this device, but also just to explain what it is to our customers. So that's XR. VP as well, we support many different workflows. In our case, we have seamless transitions to 2D content. We also have a workflow for 2.5D content, which is really popular for film. But also we have things called shot recorders. So you can add this element into Disguise and record all of the data points from your camera, what scene you're on, what the timecode was. So you can take all of this information and actually send that off to a post workflow if you need further work, or other VFX as well. We also have a few other tools for the camera, where we can actually put green just behind your talent, and then keep the rest of the wall with the 3D worlds. So you get detailed reflections, but a clean plate to then take into post. Now, I'd just like to say thank you for listening. And if you do have any other questions or queries, or just want to know more, please look us up on disguise.one. So I've been Milo, and thank you very much for listening.
Whoa, this was really amazing. Now, since we're talking about our project, I really wanted to ask you, is there still time for us to dive into this industry, or is it too late maybe?
No, I mean, this is just the right moment because this whole revolution just started happening. Even next 50 years will be a good moment to start working on this stuff.
And what can you tell me, for example, since I finished my architecture school last year, I wanted to ask you how exactly can I apply this knowledge that I got here into my industry?
You can work on building metaverses, like different universes that exist in metaverse. Or you can join some teams who are working on TV shows, on movies that need basically to build CG assets for production.
Well, great. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate the advice. Thank you guys from Disguise, and thanks to all of you who are watching us today.